Hi.
Hey, this is our first video podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. Audio,
Exciting.
if nothing else, right?
It's not my first, but...
It's our first. It's the Ironcast first video. I'm with Chloe, I'm Ryeface, and we have Sarah that's 3 time zones away.
Hi, Sarah.
Sarah's a our podcast because we love her. She's really, 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 really adorable and really, really smart also.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea for this podcast came about when we did the last time she was on, when we kind of got in a short conversation about social media.
Oh, yes.
And we all kind of decided that we would like to expand upon it. I don't think we have really any main goal about what specifically to talk about, but I wrote down a bunch of stuff, and then we can the world of social media.
Yeah, I have a few whimsical things to talk about, but I think that Sarah can take them to that deeper level to really bring some insight to it.
Yeah.
I will try my best.
Why don't you start?
Why do I have to? Sarah, what do you do for a living?
Good question. So I work for a digital media startup, which is a very vague term, but small startup here in Columbus, Ohio. And we mostly do influencer marketing, which everyone who's listening to this podcast knows it, but might not know it by that name.
Mm-hmm.
So an influencer is pretty much anyone that has a social following on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, by posting about certain brands or products is influencing their followers to then go purchase those brands or products. Or maybe the goal is to get them to go follow another brand's social media page. There's a variety of outcomes that you might be trying to utilize influencer marketing to achieve. But the whole idea is that people don't trust traditional advertising anymore. You don't look to billboards or TV commercials to decide.
You do if you're like 60, right?
Right. If you're not technologically adept. But yeah, so now people trust what their friends say and what the people who they follow on social media say. It's kind of like, it's just if you're giving your word or you're endorsing something, as long as you're not super spammy about it, then that means something. If you're saying, hey, I really like this product. But then there's the danger that people just want to make money, so they'll endorse anything just to make money.
Right. And do you think that consumers can tell the difference between someone like myself, advertising or endorsing a product, and maybe say someone with 400,000 followers that is always posting about new products where clearly that is their job?
I think people are catching on.
Okay.
People are becoming more skeptical, but 2 years ago, no, I don't think people could tell. They just, they didn't realize that people were getting paid to post about these things.
Right.
And when you say when people have a following, and I'm using the quotes here, a following. Now, when you're saying that, do you mean a certain amount of followers?
Anything from just a few thousand to millions or hundreds of millions. Because these days, since people are catching on more, the people who have large followings, they're kind of losing the trust that they had with their followers.
Right.
And so now the trend is becoming what are called micro-influencers.
Right.
So people who have much smaller followings.
Right.
Because their followings are smaller, more dedicated, they have stronger trust. And part of that is just as the following is smaller,
right.
Can we put into numbers what that means? Because for myself, I have 50,000, but now I think that's nothing compared to the people that have 2, 3, 4, 500,000. You know what I'm saying? So what are those numbers?
Well, that's the thing. There aren't any definitive numbers. So some brands, like larger brands, like Nike, you would be a micro influencer to them because they can get the people with the millions of followers to endorse their products and to be an influencer for them. But an up and coming brand where their budget is much smaller is going to look at you as like a normal sized, like larger influencer and not a micro influencer. Right. Sorry, my cat is rubbing his head up against
Well, you
the
have
computer.
people like Gigi and they make $250,000 per post. Hi, Kitty.
Yeah, he's behind the camera, but I'm sure he'll come over here at some point. Sorry, yeah, go on.
Yeah, just that you have like high-end fashion brands that will take, the Instagram models, like the, like Gigi and Bella Hadid. Like I remember reading they make $250,000 per post.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I think there's a different expectation because they're celebrities as opposed to your friends.
Right.
But, that gets into a lot of stuff that I wrote notes about where if your only interaction with the people you call friends online is through a screen, how much of a friendship is there? And I think you're right about the diminishing effects of kind of peer-to-peer marketing. The writing really, there's reports out that Twitter, you don't see as many ads on there, but Twitter, there's a lot of reports saying that Twitter will never be a profitable company. Its user base is flatlining, if not shrinking. You have, I see a lot, ironically, on Twitter, of a lot of the kind of Instagram famous friends of mine. They're starting to complain about like, I'm not getting engagements anymore, attention, and when the social media companies when they are growing, they're growing largely outside of the United States, which is outside of, at least for ours, like our sphere of influence. And I talked to this 16-year-old kid I know, and he was talking about how he really only uses Snapchat. He's like, I haven't a year. So I think this generation of social media, it's going to be a generational thing. Kids that are younger than us are going to pick up on something else. Our parents adopted Facebook, maybe not everything else. So Twitter and Instagram might be our generations, and the kids younger than us are going to pick up on something else. But really, I think the pushback is there because people they're there to their lives, they're there to learn about other people and everything, and they don't necessarily want to be advertised to. It's exhausting.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you deal
with
that?
How do I deal with it? Like being on social media? That's a great question. Because prior to starting this job, social media was more of a hobby. I grew now to like around 10,000 followers. And I was by no means like trying to become Insta famous, but I enjoyed getting to meet people through it, which is, how I met you guys. It's how I've made a lot of real friends.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet, but...
Excuse me? Slow. Come on now. But yeah, so in the past it was more of a hobby, and I enjoyed it more. That's kind of how things work. As soon as it becomes work, then it kind of takes the fun out of it. So now that I spend like my whole day writing about Instagram and writing about Twitter and being on Instagram and all that stuff, it doesn't have the same sparkle anymore. So I think it's also just that there is the tides are kind of shifting. Like people are trying to be offline more and recognizing how toxic social media can be. So for me, I am making an effort to spend less time on social media. The ads are annoying, but at this point, I deleted Snapchat from my phone, I deleted Facebook from my phone, and I only have Instagram left.
What is the reason behind that?
So Facebook I deleted because I found myself really mindlessly scrolling through Facebook like all the time. It was just another thing that I would check, and nothing of any real importance was happening there anymore, especially since people are spending Instagram now. So I really only use Facebook for...
That's why Facebook bought Instagram.
Right, yeah, and now they're like making Instagram the catch-all social media platform. But so Facebook I really only use now for like if there are events going on, like if people invite me to the event pages, that's how I find out what's going on. And then occasionally like keeping up with people, but not even really that anymore. So I log on my computer like and then also, I mean, I'll say in passing, just Facebook has become like a very...
You get all your good political views from there.
Yeah. Number one rule now is do not read the comments, because that is just like the biggest waste of time. And it just got to a point where I was getting enraged over things that I shouldn't have even been reading in the first place or caring about in the first place. So anyways, Facebook, I deleted it, and I honestly did not miss it at all. Chat, I deleted because I found myself like really instinctively being like, oh, I should Snapchat this, like if something was going on. And as soon as I really recognized that, I was like, I really don't like that about myself. So I'm going to remove it and see what happens. And again, I really didn't miss it. Like, especially now that on Instagram, there are stories. Mm-hmm. So if I really feel compelled to share something, then I'll do it on there. But I don't share on there as much as I did on my Snapchat story.
So I have never been a real hot Snap. The concept is, I understand it, but it's kind of lost on me because I don't think that quickly, nor do I have the freaking memory to remember what was previously snapped or said, because the shit disappears.
Oh, like when people go on Snapchat sprees? Is that what you mean? Like
no, just like in general.
If you're having a conversation.
Oh, I get
If Sarah sent me a picture and then I said something and then she responded to it, I have already forgotten.
An hour later.
Yeah.
I did too, but fun fact, you can save the messages. Yeah, you can make them stay.
I get confused, and there's like pictures of butts on there that are saved. I'm like, who's butt? I just don't even remember what's going on. And
this is a human ass. I don't know who's.
Yeah. And it just has never been that big to me. But I have found that with the Instagram stories, that for myself, I've tried to move to use those a little bit. My sponsorship advertisements than my storyline.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Is that because if you post like a regular post, you know it's going to get less engagement, and it's just not like people don't want to see that ad, so it's an easier place to put it, essentially?
I feel like if people really are following me, they're going to read that. If they're interested in what I'm doing to the level where they're interested in my sponsorships, that they're going to look at those. That's just how my mind works. I don't know if that's actually true. What you just said brings me to another subject, which I feel like for my, my audience is so varied, which I don't know if that's common with everybody.
I can get into that.
But like for me, it's like I know I have some athletes like fellow athletes that follow me, right? I would say a handful of LGBT people for being trans. And then I will say that probably most people that follow me and tattoos. But that's how I started my page. When I first started Instagram, that's what it was about. So it's like, I don't even know what audience I'm supposed to target half the time because I don't know who they are.
Well, that gets into one of the things I touched on the podcast at the Arnold was the concept of context collapse. And that's what most of my notes are about. That term was coined by Michael Wesch of Kansas State University about 10 years ago. And the original lecture he gave was dealing with YouTube, which at the time had only been 3 years old, which is so weird to think about, that it's so young, but it's also so old.
Yeah.
Like, can you remember life without it? It's super
No.
bizarre to think about. But he was dealing with the new world that it created and observing how people were using it and trying to understand what it all means. And his observations about it really kind of hold up, and they carry through to all the other context collapse specifically addresses multiple audiences collapsing into a single context, divorced from all the normal social environmental cues that are present in real life that allow you to micro-calibrate your interactions.
Jesus.
So when you stare into your camera, you don't know who is staring back.
Yeah.
And when you talk into the camera, you are addressing a potentially... So that since there's no feedback to rely on, yet there's an intuitive understanding that each person who watches you will contextualize you through the filter of their own experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not a lack of context, but it's an infinite number of contexts that start to pile onto each other, and they all start to lose their meaning. And you become aware of the collapse of all these contexts, so you start to become self-aware, self-conscious, and in many ways you become a blank slate. I don't think we need to necessarily deal with how it makes you talk into the camera. But for the majority of social media users, like the vast majority of social media users, there's no intention for the content that they have to reach a broad audience. And their audience is small. It's friends, family, acquaintances, maybe co-workers, colleagues. And so there's an intimacy and a familiarity. And by nature, and have a dialogue about the content and your life. It's very intimate, and it's meant to be a snapshot into the minutia of your daily life and different moments that make life beautiful and wonderful, and you get this kind of magical, like, transcendent thing when you think about it. How you and your content are received is inversely proportional to the reach of your audience. So the control you have is ceded. So as your audience grows, more people don't share a connection with you except through your screen. Mm-hmm. But they still bring their contexts into your content. Axel is pounding on the door right now. If you can hear him, I don't know if you can.
I heard it.
So this is once Chloe gets back, this is kind of the main point is... we can't control somebody follows us. No. We can't control how they view us, why they pay attention to the aspects of our lives that we choose to put online. So every viewer, every consumer of your media will view you from the background of their own personal experiences, their biases, their beliefs, and their history. It's impossible to anticipate every possible iteration of reaction to how you and your message will be received, and most importantly, you have no control it's received. So the answer is, like, you're never going to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know, people hate follow me. Right. You know what I mean? It's like there's just zero control. Do I edit what I put out to the world? No.
Yeah,
because ultimately I don't care.
That's really, it gets down. Well, what were you gonna say, Sarah? It looks like you were.
I was gonna say, but that's what people want now. Like now, like the fakes and the people who are putting on a show and performing more, they want the people who are being authentic, because that's what we're losing with, like, now that we have so many Insta-famous people, and a lot of it is just fake. And people are picking up on that. So they don't necessarily want super curated, super, like, filtered stuff anymore. They want to see what's real. So I'd say, even though that, like, maybe you don't have, like, a strategy for your social media use, that's okay, because honestly, like, the social media bubble is going to burst, and it's just going to matter that you're being your real self and people like follow you for you.
Right. I mean, do you think that... I remember like maybe 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, that like I felt the compulsion to post.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like at least 2 good posts a day, maybe 4, but like I was on it. You know what I mean? Like I was trying to create content to put onto the internet. Like it was like my day's work. You know? I've lost that feeling. Sometimes I can go like it'll go like fear posting. But do you think that's a problem with younger people getting too involved in social media?
Absolutely. I mean, I was like that too.
Well, that's why you rejected it.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. So in my earlier days, I was totally like concerned about how many times I was posting and making sure that I posted a few times. I generally posted 1 time a day, but if I didn't, then I'd kind of like internally be like, shit, like now I'm going to lose followers, or like,
you're not going to gain followers because you didn't post, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, I think that there's still a lot of people who are very concerned with posting enough and posting what's going to get them likes and all that stuff.
Because it's those people who are also the first ones to be like, oh, social media doesn't matter. Social media doesn't matter. It's separate from real life. It's like, okay, then why is your anxiety real?
Yeah.
Right.
That same guy, Michael Wesch, talked that he calls it a cultural inversion, where what we say we admire is different from what we actually admire. We say we love individualism, we say we love independence, we say we love commercialization, but what we value is community, relationships, and authenticity. And that can breed tension because you want to be independent, but you value the relationships you create. You can commercialize your social media, but want to maintain authenticity. So the question is, authenticity to who? To you or to your audience? Do you want to create authenticity to your beliefs or your appearance? And that just sets up a lot of internal tension, especially in the social media ecosystem where perception is reality, and people can project what they want onto you. And I said something earlier today. I think the term authenticity is just a marketing term because it's an effective virtue signal. I'm being real. I'm being real. Like, use this product because that's what real people do. So I thought that was interesting. And it's that natural desire to belong. Can have that tension. Can set up a tension with being authentic. You ever grow up and have like you want to be friends with people that aren't like you. Hang out with this beer. I'm 15.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's why else would anybody struggle with the shifting identity, like having full-on one-sided conversations with themselves, like airing it out in public? Like, should I remove fit from my name? Like
Sarah fan.
You have this real internal struggle while maintaining that you have the freedom to do it. And then again, like, I don't think I've done it, but like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I haven't posted in a while, like.
Yeah, I used to do that, and every time I was like, why am I apologizing? But like, I still felt like I owed them something.
Your fan base. You had to like keep your fans happy.
Yeah, but I don't do that anymore.
Yeah. And it's interesting because people that use social media with no intention of like reaching a larger audience, they don't have these struggles. They're just like, whatever, like, here's the picture of my here's what I ate today. Here's my coffee. Here's a picture of my kid. Like, it's fascinating to me.
It's what is that show? Black Mirror.
Black Mirror.
Yeah, they did an amazing episode on social media, right? Where it was like the live interaction likes, and I'm like, that's what our world is turning into, right? And it's like, and like compulsively going back to the same post to see who's liked it. They look through all their hundreds of likes, and so on and so on and so on. And it's like, that's like such bondage.
It's
right.
It's the coolest
self-bondage.
It's the coolest and the scariest thing to think that social media is literally creating a tectonic shift in our society and how we interact with people. It's going to, we as people are going to have to change how we navigate the world and each other and society. Because now, look, there's no separation between us. There's no time separation between us. There's no spatial separation between us. Like, you're 2,000 miles away, 3 time zones away, and yet here you are. You're right there. I can touch you. You just booped your nose. And that's I go so back and forth on that. Really a beautiful thing, and it also just seems to just ruin everybody's lives.
Well, I think people get caught up in the fact that social media, yes, the social media and the internet have created a gigantic sense of false security if you want it to be. You know what I mean? Like, hiding behind the keyboard or hiding behind your phone, you never actually really have to meet people if you don't want to. If you're online dating or long-distance dating, it's like you can create this person, never actually have to follow through on it. Or we get so secure in this long-distance relationship when we haven't met because there's no real life actually in the middle of it yet. People, I constantly see people not realizing that.
Yeah.
And like getting sucked into it and just not opening their eyes, but I guess they just don't want to. I don't know.
There's
Sarah's got something to say, I can tell.
Yeah.
Go.
I was just gonna say I read this. I don't even say, but I loved this idea because I'm always trying to pick up like little tips or like tactics for unplugging more, or like just even recognizing unhealthy behavior around technology and social media. And there were these parents who made their kid get on FaceTime to tell their grandparents that they wanted to cancel their weekly visit or something, because actually like seeing them face to face made it a lot harder. Yes. So like even just doing little things like that, like someone to tell them something hard, like call them, like challenge yourself instead of just being complacent and hiding behind the keyboard or your phone.
I'd like to get both of your thoughts on this. He wrote it out as a formula. Anonymity plus physical distance plus rare and ephemeral dialogue equals the freedom to experience humanity without fear or anxiety. But anonymity plus physical distance plus rare and ephemeral dialogue equals hatred as public performance. They're both true, right? One is that's like the comment section, like you said.
I never.
And the other one is lurking.
Trolling.
Yeah, trolling and lurking.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that? I thought I was like, damn, dude, that's spot on. Personally.
Can we go back to this word? Can we just break that down?
Ephemeral?
Yeah, can we break that down for everyone? Because I clearly don't know what that means.
It just it means it's gone. So I think Snapchat is ephemeral.
Perfect, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know what else I really have to say on that. It's that's the nature of things now.
Life is the comment section. And social media is one giant job interview.
So it's weird. I read comments clear Instagram that people leave on my stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't read comments anywhere else. I don't read comments on Facebook. I don't read other people's comments on their content. But it's the only comments I read. I don't read comments when there's articles about me and stuff. I've never read any of the comments. I try not to engage with it because I try to let people have their opinions, even when they are not the same as mine, on my content. Every now and then, something will push me enough where I feel like I need to. There was this huge argument over a post I made. Do you remember the rape one? Yeah. I made a comment about my phone getting picture raped. And so then people started going off on me on my choice of words and saying that I was being insensitive to rape and I'm making rape jokes and so on and so forth. And clearly that was not my intention. And then anyone that would just use their brain could see that that was not the intention of the post I was making. A certain point where I did engage because I was pissed off enough. Where it's like, this is still the freedom of me to say what I want on my page. If you want to be a baby and be sad or like whatever, that's fine. But you don't need to accuse me of doing something I'm not doing. And I just got pushed to that point. Yeah. You know what I mean? But usually I don't give a fuck.
That goes to the whole thing of everybody taking their experience and with
projecting it onto someone else.
Projecting it. Yeah. And so in a lot of ways, like, not for you because you're not the type, but for a lot of people, that whole pressure of avoiding being controversial, that whole connection becomes constraint, and you start to self-censor. You start to
because people are scared that someone's not going to like them, or they're going to lose a follower.
So you do have that whole argument of like, social media is not real life and everything. Okay, but people are still allowed to react to what you put online because they're valid and you're valid too, and it just because there's not necessarily a right answer. So that's the thing about like I see it a lot in the bikini girls. They want to have the notoriety, they want to have the following, but they don't want to accept that any form of like criticism or anything else.
But life is about criticism.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the cost of it. Because you know what? If you just stick to your family and your friends and people that you've met in real life and know you're not going to have that problem. Because you do something silly or controversial or somebody takes issue with it, you're going to have a conversation offline or off of social media.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm fully aware, like, with my content, I think anybody that just sits down and kind of looks at what's going on will understand what their content does. For me, I'm not an idiot. Like, I know. The minute I post a naked picture, I know exactly what my content's going to be. I know right around where my likes are going to be. I know how many comments that's going to get. When I post a workout video, it's going to be half of that. It's going to be at least half. If I post anything that I think is, like, beautiful in the nature, I'll get, like, 200 likes. You know what I mean? No one gives a shit about that part of my life. I'm not stupid. Like, I understand why these people are following me. But the end game for me, and I think for a really long time, is that I don't put anything really personal in my bio. Right? And I tag that I'm trans in some photos, but I don't do it in every photo. And so at a certain point, I feel like out of maybe, like, we'll say, like, there's 10,000 new followers, and then I say something about being trans. If one of those people, if it can just make one of those people think, wait a minute, I've been following this person for, I had no clue, and she's trans, wow. Trans people are just like everybody else. Like, to me, that's the end result for what I do.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. I think
it's a little bit of purpose in my Instagram. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
But I just
I
don't feel the
appreciate
need.
that.
I don't feel the need to talk about it all the time.
Right. Well, you're still in control of your content. You're not in control of how people react to it. Like you know, I know you've lost friendships. We've all lost friendships because of asshole dickhead people.
Oh yeah.
This is the second podcast in a row we brought that dude up. Whatever. I think all of this ties into a social psychology theory called the looking glass self. Have you heard of that, Sarah?
I did, and so you can remind me, but I am familiar.
The looking glass self is the theory that we develop our sense of self and our identity through our interpersonal interactions within the context of society. The looking glass self expresses the tendency for someone to understand themselves through their own understanding of how others perceive them. So we imagine how others, we imagine and react to what we feel their judgment of that appearance must be, and then we develop ourself through the judgments of others. And so real quickly, they give examples. The more famous examples is we kind of have an idea of what our parents think of us, how our parents view us, how our significant others view us, how our siblings view us, and how our ex view us. So they're all more or less true, and internally speaking. Like my ex, she hates me. She doesn't have a good view of me.
Cat butt.
Cat butt.
Because that must be exhausting.
Your cat's really a dog, if for those who don't know.
He is. This is Marty. For those who are watching, he's a little lion, but he's really a dog trapped in a cat's body. He has a little bit of squirrel in him too, though.
Yeah, that really does.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like that must be exhausting to take that to a social media level.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do. And I guess that's only an issue for people that are trying to grow their audience and then still trying to maintain a level of control about the narrative of their own content.
Yeah.
Which is impossible.
I'm much more impressed by people when I meet people in real life, and I'm like, your Instagram, like you are authentic, like you are the same as your Instagram, and it's not fake and it's not forced.
And it's so weird that it's you have to be that it's surprising when that's the case.
Yeah, because I've met so many people that are not.
We're just subtweeting the Arnold right now. Is that what's going on?
And friends, and it's like when I remove myself from that friendship and look at their Instagram, and if I say I don't know this person, and I'm looking at their, those two don't match, and then I feel bad because I'm like,
wow,
dude, you're so bound, like you're so bound by this like fear of people perceiving you to be you.
Right.
Which is probably a little too deep for this whole thing. But
I mean, that's like, yeah, there's a ton of people out there whose whole existence is performative, and you're more than likely, never going to find the real person. I mean, everybody has a version, but
right.
I don't know. I think it's kind of funny when people meet me and they're like, "Oh, you're a lot nicer than I would have thought." I was taller than people thought too, which was kind of cool at this last Arnold. They're like, "You're nicer," which is something I'm used to because I'm too sarcastic. And then, but I got like, "Oh, you're a lot taller than I thought."
Oh, I get that. You're a lot shorter than I thought. Thanks, people. The giant, just anyone's curious.
I'm not. Well, people go back and forth between like thinking I'm shorter or taller than I actually am. Because I'm 5'9", which is pretty tall, but like my legs are really, really long. So some people think I'm like closer to 6 feet tall. But yeah, I mean,
depends on how you round.
I think you're tall, but I'm short. So I think anyone over 5'6" is a giant.
So, what's it take to be authentic on social media?
God damn it.
Ooh.
Oh.
You know what? Post the shit that you don't want to post. Post
Or that
something
you're
you
afraid
think you
to.
don't look good in. Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, definitely.
Something that's not your angle.
The thing is also that I see a lot of people now, like a lot of fitness accounts being like, I want to show that it's a highlight reel. Like I've seen like probably 5 of those in my feed in the past day. And it still is so curated. Like the photo is still like a nice photo of them. Maybe they're not smiling like
Wait,
they
you're
normally
talking about
do,
when they
but
like stuck it in versus push it out?
yeah,
But
well,
there's still
some of
like
that.
gorgeous face.
That's another thing. That's another thing. But just like, then they have this like giant caption. I don't know. It just all seems still very performative and very.
Exactly.
I just.
Very well groomed.
Well, especially in the fitness community, it's not a meritocracy. It's a democracy. And I don't know, I'm not really a part of any other communities online. Maybe like I follow a lot of chefs, but they're not going to follow me because I'm not in the industry. It's super easy to become a part of the fitness community because it's super easy to adopt the language, adopt the ethos.
Use the hashtags.
And get a
Shut up, I love hashtags.
And get a wide variety of acceptance. And you can gain a following by just emulating others.
Right.
Like, fuck. How many, like, posed versus unposed, flex versus unflexed, weigh out your peanut butter because if you don't, you're going to eat too much. How many of those do you have to do when you're anything new? Maybe the first couple times that popped up, it's kind of a reality check that, like, oh, hey, maybe they're trying to put in that separation between social media versus real life. But again, it's all subservient to maintaining a brand.
Yeah. And now that we're talking about this, I haven't thought about this before, but the fitness Instagram on social media is a unique thing. Like if you look at any other like niche, I'm just basing this off of like, first of all, my other account was originally a food account and now it's kind of like a design, like fashion, whatever.
Yeah.
General lifestyle. So, and then at work, I look at people of like all sorts on Instagram and looking at those communities, like everyone has to be pretty unique to get a following. If you're an artist or a graphic designer or someone like that, you have to be making something interesting and something that not very many people have seen. Or if you're a photographer, like you have to take really beautiful photos.
Right.
And that doesn't come from just like copying someone else. Like you can kind of copy someone else, but not exactly. Like you still have to go out and do the work. But like with fitness, there are so many like carbon copy accounts that I don't know. I've just never thought about that exactly before, but it's
so easy to gain a following because you don't have to do anything new. You don't have to put out knowledge.
Like, look at me. I've got no notable talents. I'm like a mediocre athlete. I don't know what else is there going on for myself, but
I think as a society, I mean, if you're young and good looking, you already have the most social capital of anybody in society. That's magnified on social media. You know, we are the base, young, good looking people. I'm saying we because that's what we are. Young and good looking. We are the basis of so much of the economy. Yeah, we're great looking. Sorry.
I'm bumping myself up to great, but
and because we're young and good looking, we can easily gain a follow. The reason then it's impolite to stare in real life, and on social media, it allows us to stare without repercussion. So I'm going to stare at your booty popping pic at the gym and have like a myriad of like inappropriate thoughts. And then, you know, some people...
Have you ever used that save button on Instagram? I have not used it yet.
I have, but not for like chicks because I know what porn is.
I use view porn still, but...
Okay, I mean, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I use the save mostly for like if there's an informative or like a product that I like.
Do you go
or
back
something.
to it though?
I do sometimes, especially if it's
forget.
like inspiration for other like creative work. I like it for that purpose. But I'm sure that people use it for dirty things.
Of course they do. Of course, that's the best thing.
Their minds are gonna be blown. They find out like what pornography is.
Their whole world will just explode.
Like there are entire websites dedicated to this stuff, man.
Yeah, I think it's really weird when I get like 16-year-olds that like DM me and I'm like, do you understand that you're a child? Inappropriate. And why do you think that I'm going to do that?
What's the best DM you guys have ever gotten?
The best of
Best,
recent
worst?
day?
I don't know. Like social media for girls is an entirely different experience that is completely alien to me.
Yeah. Oh man. I wish that they didn't like disappear. What?
I can't even wrap my head around any. There's just so many like
How many
jaw
peni have you gotten?
Oh fuck! Between all three, like between Snapchat and Instagram.
Yeah, just ballpark it. You too.
I haven't gotten
400?
any.
Really?
400
Yeah.
maybe.
Jesus, that's a lot of dicks. They all look the same, more or less.
Yeah, more or less.
I haven't gotten any, but I've gotten a fair amount of DMs. That
Okay,
are...
I'll say 300 just to be safe. I don't want to be a liar.
I don't want to be a slut.
My last, I'm pretty sure that, so this, let's maybe of social media is my last relationship, my last serious relationship was started because of social media, but also destroyed because of social media.
Hey, same.
But I don't understand, like the whole time that it was being destroyed, I was like, are you serious? Like you're taking it. His thing was, he DM'd me, right? So he instigated.
And then expected you to change after the fact.
Yes, 100%. Expected me to change. Yes.
As a poster.
As a poster and as a person. Because that's one and the same to me. Because you know how I post, right? So to me it's one and the same. And it turned into I accepted his DM and that's how we met. So that anything I would do thereafter that would spark someone to DM me would be inappropriate. And I needed to edit my content. And that's what I don't understand, right? And that he's not a standalone person thinking like that.
No.
There's thousands and thousands of people.
It's pretty representative.
That way. And it still baffles me. It just still baffles me because I'm like.
If you went full, like, I don't know, wore head to toe clothing, if you show an ankle, it's still going to be your fault that dudes get horny over you.
No, because I'm just gorgeous. I can't help it that I'm just gorgeous.
Just getting horny over an ankle.
Personality, God damn it.
Yeah, that's.
I've been all over the social media.
That's. I'm gonna throw these notes at.
I got married through social media.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw these notes at.
I didn't even know what online dating was when it happened to me. That's back when it was only Facebook. There was no Instagram yet. I was 25.
So that was MySpace
14 years ago. Yeah. Wait, did I say Facebook?
Yeah.
I meant MySpace. Yeah. I didn't even know what online dating was. And I met my husband. He was in California. And we started this online date. It was weird. But I didn't realize it was a thing. I didn't realize that people did that. I was very ignorant to what was going on.
I'm going to detour really quick. How's your project coming?
It's going great. It's slow and steady.
Yeah. She's making a
macrame
wall hanging. It's decoration for your house.
Just
to be a rug or a wall hanging.
Just
preferably
to be clear,
a wall hanging.
No one on social media gives a shit that we're having this conversation.
Sweet, no questions.
Zero.
I got 10 followers though, I think, from you posting it though, so that was something.
I keep mine boring, so I don't get that. I get it on Twitter. Anything else you guys would feel like discussing? I feel
like we should, a lot of this has been a downer, so I feel like we should talk about possible, things we and other people can do more responsibly use social media. whether they're consuming or producing. And like, we never, I mean, there might not be an answer to this, but we never answered the question of like, how can you be authentic on social media?
I think I said it. My opinion.
Just like the posting, like what you're afraid to post. Yeah, I guess
Don't be so edited. Post pictures unfiltered. Post that you don't prefer. Post your outtakes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let people know that if you want real engagement, be a real person.
I think the caveat to that is to do that and then not have a performative caption about it.
Yeah, not to make it like
captions never make sense.
Yeah, well,
so.
yeah, I know. You're funny about it, and you really don't care. It's obvious that you don't care, and you're not self-censoring.
Oh, wait till you see my squat fart video that I'm posting later. That's some real life shit.
Yeah, that's your posts are like pretty contrarian. Like you post like some random ass like.
I like that word. Could you say that again?
Contrarian.
I think I just got a new title.
But like your caption is like random words put together. It's like you use like one of those like sentence generators.
It's called my
by
brain.
a really. Yeah. So, anyways, it makes no sense and it has no relation to your video. It's kind of like super self-aware without like having to explain it.
Because life is not a goddamn meaningful quote. That is not life.
You don't need to post like an Iliad of text when you're posting a selfie. It's like no one's reading that. I'm sorry, like the wrong people might.
Yeah.
Life is not an inspirational quote. Life is about doing shit.
That's a quote.
Someone write that down. That's the title of my book.
I like that. I think, yeah, you should go with that.
Can you write that down?
For a book.
I do love social media, though. This is not supposed to be a genre. I do love everything about it, even the shitty parts.
That's how I met you. That's how I met you.
Yeah, I've met so many people through social media. Job. Yeah, that too. So, I don't know. It's hard. Like, for me, point where I'm a lot more responsible with the way I produce content because I'm not concerned with posting every day. Like, I let my accounts go several days without a post now, and I don't care about engagement. Like, all that stuff is, like, I've gotten to a point where I'm super comfortable with it. Granted, I don't make my living off of social media, but
either do I.
There are a fair number of people who do, but I would say, like I alluded to earlier, the social media bubble is going to have when that happens. So one piece of advice I would give to some of those people is to capture as many email addresses as you can, because like there's this quote that this one entrepreneur, Mariah Cause, that I follow, has said, like, why would you build your house on someone else's land? You're always at the hands of the social media platforms for how they change their algorithms, which recently has affected a lot of people's engagement and in turn affected the way that they can get maybe brand partnerships and things like that. But yeah, but if you have an email list, that's always yours. That's on your own turf. No one can take that away from you.
Join LinkedIn because I always ignore those emails.
No, what she's saying is that we can bitch about the Instagram algorithm all we want, but until everybody stops using it, they're not going to change.
Oh,
yeah, because they're a business too. Like if you're going to say like, oh, this is affecting my business, well, you have to think like, they're a business too, so they're going to do what profits them. So it's becoming more pay to play. So if you want to get seen on Instagram, you're probably going to have to pay money for ads. Moving are really concerned with the number of views and like
but
likes.
Then I think that's so weird when I just see a normal person advertise themselves. I'm like, what is this an advertisement for, you dipshit? Like, there's no purpose.
Yeah,
it's weird. I don't know, but I mean, but yeah, so that's. You go ahead.
I was just say all of this has a shelf life, and it's a lot shorter than I think we all realize.
Yeah.
I wonder what would happen if the three of us, maybe we should do this. Maybe the three of us should pay for Instagram advertisement and see what happens.
I'm down.
Like, because you don't have to have any content, right? You just pay for the advertisement and you provide the post.
The funniest ones are on Twitter, where you can just pay to promote your tweets now. So I've blocked so many like big companies because I'm just like, stop! I don't care. You're being invasive. You're like reading my feed and my text, and you're using keywords to try. So all I get now is just really weird stuff where people just promote and it doesn't cost a lot of money, but they just promote like the silliest things.
I just go on Twitter when I'm stoned and I write polls because it's like entertaining.
Well, you could like probably pay to promote one of those polls where it's like there was one that just like a guy paid to say it or paid it to be promoted. It just said Donald Trump is the worst president ever.
I mean, agreed, but I wouldn't pay him for that.
It's like, why'd you pay for that?
But I do think that social media is a very, 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 very wonderful thing because I wouldn't be here in this moment. I don't believe if it wasn't for social media. I would not have seen the countries I have seen, met the people in the foreign lands that I've been to if it wasn't for social media. I've stayed on many couches in many different states and countries, all because of Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that it's not going anywhere anytime soon, but the way off of it is going to drastically change.
Yeah.
So that's just something that a lot of people are going to have to come to terms with and figure out their way forward. But for people who are using it recreationally, I think it will be fine for the next few years.
Do you think businesses that don't use social media are going to start to fail? Like, not huge, giant corporations. There's local businesses here in Reno. I look on Instagram to see what their Instagram is about before I try the businesses.
Like,
I'm not too concerned with that. I'd go to Yelp if they're on Yelp.
And
I look to reviews. Well, to me, that's like, it also depends on what they do. Like, if I'm going to someone for like social media consulting, of course I'm going to look at their Instagram and see like what they're doing. A restaurant, like, I mean, I'm not going to expect every restaurateur to know how to use social media to their advantage.
What about a coffee shop?
They're supposed to be focusing on the food.
Right. Even like coffee shops and stuff, I'd much rather see what people's reviews are of it.
I just think as individuals, as brands, it's easy to be formulaic. And the more people go out each other, the more crowded it gets, the more noise it gets, and when it's noisy, people tune out, and so that's going to be its own undoing, except for a few people that are going to be creative enough to figure out new ways to do it, and that's really the challenge, because people eat at seeing the same stuff over and over and over, like all the carbon copies and everything, and it's, why should I pay attention to you? Why? No.
I barely follow anyone in the fitness industry.
Right. But it's easy to get jaded, and I do plenty of times because I'm like, well, I call you my friend, and all you're doing is advertising to other people. And it's frustrating to me because I'm like, well, I care about you, but I could give fuck all about this.
Yeah.
I'm not buying your protein. I'm not buying your pre-workout. I'm not buying your supplements.
Or fit tea, or skinny tea, or body wraps, or teeth whitening, or
charcoal masks.
Oh, but I do want to try that charcoal teeth thing, though, because I'm obsessed with teeth.
Or apparel.
Unless it's donuts and deadlifts.
Yeah, and then I'd be like,
or hate brand.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, hey, which one of these are rejects? And then I will take them home.
But then
I'm also a bad consumer because I do have such a problem with that, and it's like I want a reprieve from being bombarded by advertisements all the time. And I accept that if this social media remains free, that I'm ultimately a customer for somebody else, or a potential customer for somebody else. But again, that just ultimately you keep like pounding them, you're going to drive them away.
Yeah, I'm not a great consumer either. I'm not impulsive buyer, so
I
think about
I
everything.
get irritated at like every time like somebody or something advertises to me on there, and then I kind of I'm like, well, like now that you did that, I'm not buying that.
Yeah, don't force me.
Yeah,
Don't try
like,
to push me into my decision.
Yeah. So I don't know, but it's easy to get jaded, but it's only with a few aspects, and that's the commercialization of it. Biggest like my favorite people to follow are people that are quote unquote nobodies, because they are like completely not censored. They're completely unabashedly, unapologetically themselves, and so often they're the ones that have genuine insights about life, and it's really cool to share in some of the like intimacies of their life. And I get into this nice headspace where I go like, man, this like everything's so cool. Like life is cool, people are cool, and that's ultimately where I like fall down on, or that's like the side I come down on is everybody's out there doing their thing. There's a couple bad people out there, but they don't matter.
Social media is how Chrissy and I met.
Yeah, it's how we met.
Yeah.
That's how I met Chrissy. It's how you met Chrissy.
Yep.
It's how I got a job. It's how I moved across the country. It's been the best couple of years of my life, like hanging out in New York. That's where I met you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So how you wield it. So just
if you haven't seen the season 1 episode 4 of Black Mirror, I'm just kidding. I don't know what episode number it was, but please watch it. It's about social media taking over our lives, and I think that it's a great eye opener because in real life.
Black Mirror was successful in getting social media to talk about social media. It's become sedient.
So meta.
Yeah, it's so meta.
All right, Sarah, if you don't have anything else to add, I think we're going to take off over here.
Okay.
Thank you for taking the
think
time.
we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did.
We did. I think this will be I think we need to do a little experimenting and then revisit this.
Okay. I'm down with that.
Okay. Sarah, thanks for being on with us.
Bye.
Thanks. Nice to see you
Good
guys.
to see you. Bye.
Bye.